Hi, this is Jaya and you're back at Jaya Reads. Okay, so for today I have another book haul. And this is probably the second to the last book haul that I will do for this for a while. So the first few books of this book haul belongs to one of my favorite genres in basically movies and of course books, and even with TV series, even with K-dramas. It's mystery or true crime or crime. I don't know, I just love reading or watching things like that because it keeps you, really thinking about who's the killer, who did this, how did they do that, and stuff like that. So, the first book is written by one of my favorite writers of all time. And most of the books right now under true crime or mystery are somehow influenced by this, aside from Sherlock Holmes. And this is Agatha Christie. I'm trying to collect all of the books by Agatha, but it's so hard, I bought the first 4 books from this book haul under the same shop, that's 26 Bookshop on IG. And yeah, I bought it because do I need another reason other than Agatha Christie? Sold. So hard to not buy this. So yeah, I bought it and I'm excited to read this, to be honest, because Agatha Christie. If you're like me and you also love reading genres like crime and thriller or mystery, start with Agatha Christie or Sherlock Holmes, or it actually depends on you, but I totally recommend Agatha Christie's books. So okay, moving on to the next book. It is The Liar's Chair. Same genre, mystery. I don't know if it's a thriller, but let me read there. Rachel Teller and her husband David appear happy, prosperous, and fulfilled. The big house, the successful business, they have everything. However, control, not love, fuels their relationship, and David has no idea that his wife indulges in drunken indiscretions. When Rachel kills a man in a hit and run, the meticulously maintained veneer over their life begins to crack. Exciting. Not that the crime is exciting, but I want to know how this goes. I don't know anything about this book, I just love the cover, the title, and because it's under the mystery genre, I'm sold. Okay, moving on. This is by Ruth Ware, and it's The Lying Game. I bought it because of, as I've said, the mystery genre, and the cover is so interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen based on the cover, but let's see. The text message arrives in the small hours of the morning. I need you. Isa drops everything, takes her baby daughter, and heads straight to Salton. She spent the most significant days of her life at boarding school on the marshes there, days which still cast their shadow over her. Isa and her 3 best friends used to play the lying game, competing to convince people of outrageous stories. Now, after 17 years of hiding the truth, something terrible has been found on the beach. The friend's darkest secret is about to come to light. Now that is interesting. A protagonist with shady friends? Girl. Okay, the next one is... Okay, To be honest, I bought this because it's so famous in Bookstagram and everywhere in booktube. And I know that it's good because I've read the reviews. I've kind of spoiled myself with the story, but who cares? I still have to buy it because I want to read. I want the full experience by reading it. So yes, this is the Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Am I reading that right? I know I'm not, but this is so famous everywhere because it's so good. I actually wanted to read the blurb, guys, but it's all full of testimonials, so I'm just gonna read one. The powerful first novel tells a story of fierce cruelty and fierce yet redeeming love. Both transform the life of Amir, the privileged young narrator who comes of age during the last peaceful days of the monarchy, just before his country's revolution and its invasion by Russian forces. But political events even as dramatic as the ones that are presented in The Kite Runner are only part of this story. In The Kite Runner, the writer gives us a vivid and engaging story that reminds us how long his people have been struggling to triumph over the forces of violence, forces that continue to threaten them even today. Although this does not really belong to the mystery genre, I love books that, touch historical events or based on historical events or inspired by true historical events. And I know this is good because I've read a lot of reviews, I've heard a lot of reviews, I've seen a lot of my friends post this on Bookstagram and on booktube. So I have to read this. I'm sorry if I'm late, but I will start it sometime this year. Okay, so those were the books from 26 Bookshop. There. So that's Agatha Christie, Liar's Chair, The Kite Runner, and The Lying Game. The second part of this book haul is all about classics. Yes, classics. You heard me right. I love reading classics, and it's a part of me that I can't really, remove. Because I don't know, there's something about classics that make you learn about the life before, the digital age, the life during, pre-war, post-war, or even during the war. And there's something that, reminds you that people lived in the past like this. Anyway, the books that I'm going to show you right now are all from the same secondhand bookshop, one of my favorites here in the Philippines. They are all from the Books Around the Corner on Facebook. I will link everything down below, so don't worry. So the first 4 books are from the Anne of Green Gables series. I actually have, this is funny because I already have books 6 and 8, but I don't have the others. So I bought some of them, and I still need to buy Rainbow Valley. So I bought this because Anne is one of my mom's favorite characters and it's one of her favorite books. But we lost her collection when we moved to another house. So, I'm trying to build her collection again, and I want to reread it. That's why I'm looking for Rainbow Valley, and that's the only thing that's missing from my collection. And yes, this is Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea. I know I'm not saying it that right, but Anne of Windy Poplars and Anne of the Island. Once I get the Rainbow Valley, I will start reading this. I am so excited, but yeah, no pressure. Okay, moving on. The next book is from one of my favorite writers ever, Jane Austen, Mansfield Park. I don't need to explain anything. I just realized I don't have all of Jane Austen's books, so I'm trying to collect everything by her. In my collection, I already have Pride and Prejudice, Emma, Sense and Sensibility, and the others I don't know. But when we moved, they all got lost. So I'm trying to build my collection of Jane Austen again. It's been fun looking for this. And I will read the blurb just in case you didn't know this. It is as much the story of a house as of the people who carry on their intrigues and affairs in and around it. Some modern readers have felt little sympathy with the patient, watchful heroine, Fanny. Few, however, have failed to detect an underlying atmosphere which is all the more powerful for being suppressed. And certainly, the greatest sins show Jane Austen working at the very height of her artistic powers. So yeah, that's Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. And moving on to the next book, of course, by Jane Austen again, Persuasion. So, in her final novel, as in her earlier ones, Jane Austen uses a love story to explore and gently satirize social pretensions and emotional confusion. Persuasion follows the romance of Anne Elliot and naval officer Frederick Wentworth. They were happily engaged until Anne's friend, Lady Russell, persuaded her that Frederick was unworthy. Now, 8 years later, Frederick returns a wealthy captain in the Navy while Anne's family teeters on the edge of bankruptcy. They still love each other, but their past mistakes threaten to keep them apart. Austen may seem to paint on a small canvas, but her characters contain the full range of human passion and moral complexity. And the author's generous spirit renders them all with understanding, compassion, and inimitable humor. I don't need to say anything more, it's, Jane Austen. My girl, Jay. And the next book is, I know I already have a copy of this, but what I actually have is a children's version, and it's Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice doesn't need any more explanation. It's one of her famous novels. And there are a lot of movies, a lot of books that are based on Pride and Prejudice or inspired by this book. Pride and Prejudice is actually so close to my heart because this is the first book I've ever read as a child. I mean the children's version. And even as a kid, I loved the story. So I am going to, reread this again and relive all the childhood memories from that. Because this is one of my favorite books of all time. I'm so excited. Okay. So the next book is one of the last Jane Austens that I bought. It's Emma. I don't need any other explanation for Jane Austen because, she is Jane Austen. And if you love reading classics, you've probably heard of her or read her works or, studied her books at school. But yes, Emma. This is the last Jane Austen book that I bought from Books Around the Corner. Yay! And okay, moving on to the last book for this video. I'm so sorry this is so long. Okay, to be honest, I already have a copy of the book that I'm going to show you, but I have read it when I was a kid, and it is now filled with writings, colors, and it's a children's version of the book, so it's probably not complete, and as an adult, wow, adult, I want to reread these classics because, I don't know, I think there's something about going back to watch a movie or read a book that, you've seen and read when you were a kid, because you'll probably realize new things, or, you'll probably learn a lot from them, even if you know the story. There's just something. And okay, I'm so sorry, but the last book is Prince and the Pauper. I remember loving the children's version, and strangely, I don't remember the full story anymore. I just remember the fact that I loved it. I filled the old book with, writings and colorings because that's how much I loved it when I was a kid. So yeah, I bought it again and can't wait to reread it and, realize a lot of things from these classics. They are all familiar stories to me. I remember reading them all when I was a kid, but, as an adult, adult doesn't feel real. And I am sure that I will realize a lot, I will learn more, and I will probably enjoy them more because I now understand a lot of things compared to, before that I don't know how the real world works. So yes, this is one of the massive book hauls that I'll probably ever do on this channel. So yes, thank you so much for watching. I will link everything down below if you want to buy from the shops that I've mentioned. Yes, please don't forget to follow me and subscribe or comment down below with your suggestions or, I don't know, just talk to me. And please don't forget to listen to my songs on Spotify and iTunes. Everything will be linked down below, so don't worry. And this is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. I just want to say that I encourage everyone to reread a book that you loved before as a kid or, as a teenager, because it will speak to you differently, give you more insights and realizations. I don't know. It will give you something else from reading it. And that's what I'm going to do with the classics. And with the mystery genre, I love them already. And before I end this video, I just want to say that don't forget to drink water, take a rest, and learn to love yourself. Because during this time, we really have to take care of ourselves. So yes, thank you so much for watching. This has been Jaya for Jaya Reads. Bye!